by Kelson Jumpers. We can move to our uh, next session, which is the talk by Mr. Satpal Muman. He's joining us from UK, London. He's currently the chairman and founder of Cast Watch UK, and we have like this detailed introduction and overview in our email group chain, but I just want to highlight like a couple of things that Cast Watch UK is created to have the awareness of caste-based discrimination, so which is a big effort, and he has kind of working very actively with the parliamentarians of the British government, and he is also a secretary of AIM, Ambedkar International Mission London. He works as an IT professional, and I will just ask and request Mr. Satpal to give us an overview of his activities and his movement in London. Let me make you to a presenter. Mr. Sat Muman, are you able to hear me? And if you can test your mic, that will be great.
Yeah, this is Satpal Muman here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Who was just talking?
This is Sandeep Fuluke.
Hello, Sandeep. Okay. Well, thank you very much, first of all, for inviting me to this session. I must confess, I found the meditation very, very peaceful, and I prefer that it should have continued for me a bit longer. But instead, obviously, everything has a time limit. But and so we have to give that up for so that I can have my say. I know the session itself is set up for 2 hours, but I can't be here with you for the remainder of the program. So what I will do is I'll go through what I have to say, and then you'll have to excuse me. So you can continue with your session, but you'll have to excuse me. I'll have to have another meeting later on, so I can't be with you for the 2 hours until 5 o'clock. It's it's 25 minutes past 3 in the afternoon in the UK. So hopefully my talk will not last more than 15 to 20 minutes. And of course, if there are any questions at the end, then I can address those briefly. So let me, if I may, shall I make a start? Are you okay?
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Okay.
Please get started. And
well, I'll take you on a short journey of brief history. Hopefully, it will not take you too far, but only as far as year 2000. And firstly, I'll give you a brief background about my involvement with caste legislation in the UK and my work with the Caste Watch UK. And I will also touch on briefly on the Single Equality Bill, the Equality Act 2010, and the Enterprise and Regulatory Reform Act 2013. All of these have a bearing on caste legislation. And then look at what opposition to the legislation we faced in the UK. Basically, who is the opposition? And then I'll basically go over what the current position is and what steps are being taken by the present government and the affected communities. and then, as I said earlier, I'll take some questions at the end if there's any time. Okay. So let me take you back to year 2000. In the year 2000, there was an international conference held in London. This conference was organized by a newly formed organization at the time called Voice of Dalit International. The conference was held in collaboration with another existing organization called Dalit Solidarity Network UK. Now, the Dalit Solidarity Network UK was prominently headed by a Christian Methodist minister by the name of Reverend David Haslam, who had played an active part in the anti-apartheid movement in South Africa. Now, I was invited to address this conference on the issues and problems facing Dalits in India. Okay, I suggested the Indian issue will perhaps be better addressed by dignitaries invited from India, and therefore I proposed to speak on a theme of caste in Britain. Okay. Now, during the night of the conference, before the conference, I kind of collected some thoughts together and prepared a quick short paper highlighting the prevalence of caste practices in the UK. The paper was kind of well received by the conference, but frankly, they were not much surprised to learn that caste practices were prevalent in the UK. In the UK, during the conference, I gave a copy of this paper to a member of parliament, namely Jeremy Corbyn, who was a long-time human rights activist and also obviously was a member of parliament. And I would add briefly that Jeremy continues to support the campaign, okay, to the present day. So in the year 2000, okay, racial discrimination in the UK fell under the ambit of Race Relations Act 1976. Okay. Now, Caste in Britain paper that I prepared suggested an amendment to the Race Relations Act 1976. Now, the paper itself is available on the Caste Watch UK website, and you can refer to that in your own time. You can Google Caste Watch UK. You'll be able to find the website for Caste Watch UK. My concluding remarks in that paper, and I quote, I stated that whilst no firm conclusion can be drawn, okay, as to whether casteism is racism, I believe the jury is still out on this. Okay, so I therefore propose that the Race Relations Act 1976 should be amended and brought up to date to include casteism. The definitions that of racial groups and racial grounds that the Race Relations Acts covered, I stated that should specifically incorporate caste in addition to color, race, nationality, etc. Okay. I stated that the change is needed now as caste discrimination is likely to play a key role in the future as we move towards an ever-increasing Asian population in the UK. Okay. The British law, I stated, will need to be brought into line with an emerging new social order in the UK because of the large Asian population, and that population was on the increase. Now, the conference, the paper itself created a bit of a stir at the conference, so which resulted afterwards in the creation of an organization called Voice of Dalits UK a couple of years later on. Okay. I seen a little message saying from Resh that not everyone is able to hear. Are people able to hear? Hello?
Yes, people are able to hear. Only one participant is having an issue, but
all right, okay,
that's again an individual stuff.
Oh, okay, that's good. All right, okay. Well, I'm keeping an eye on the communication and messages that are being sent through the chat. Okay, so that's basically a brief outline in terms of where we were in year 2000. Okay, the CASMA UK itself was an organization which was formed in year 2003, as you stated earlier, in the city of Coventry, which is in the Midlands area, predominantly where Indian and Pakistani communities are settled. Okay, there are obviously pockets in London as well, an area called Southall, and there are pockets in East London too. So the organization itself was initially called Voice of Dalits UK, and when I began to get myself associated with the organization, I suggested a change of name, and since that time, Voice of Dalits UK has been renamed to CASTWatch UK. So CASTWatch UK came into being in year 2000. So for over a decade, okay, CASTWatch UK played a key stakeholder role in representing the interest of caste-affected communities in the UK. Now, I think it's important for you to know, what CASTWatch UK policy is, so that there is, for the avoidance of doubt, and to get clarity about its aims and objects. What you should do is refer to the website. But in a nutshell, what I'm going to say to you here is that CASTWatch UK itself is an independent and secular organization. Okay, it's not affiliated to any religious or political group, whether in the UK or elsewhere. And so religion and it does not come into play within the stated objectives of CASTWatch UK, and we try to stay clear of any religious discussions during our meetings. CASTWatch UK works with faith-based organizations and also non-faith-based organizations that are keen to join our campaign, okay, to make caste discrimination unlawful. So the focus of CASTWatch UK itself is primarily the UK, and we don't involve ourselves with caste practices in other countries other than the UK. Okay. So for now, I would advise that you look at the website, and unfortunately, the website itself hasn't been kept up to date, but we're trying to correct that at the moment. Right. Okay. I'm going to now briefly touch on a piece of legislation which the government started called the Single Equality Bill, which later became Single Equality Act 2010. Okay. Now, in October 2003, okay, the government announced its intention to bring together different pieces of existing legislation. Primarily, there were three legislations. There was a Commission for Racial Equality, Disability Rights Commission, and Equality Opportunities Commission. And basically, the Single Equality Bill was a piece of legislation to harmonize all the different strands of discrimination into one single legislative framework. Okay. The Equality Act, which established the Equality and Human Rights Commission, itself gained assent in 2010. However, in February 2005, the government launched the Discrimination Law Review to develop a single fair legal framework. And further to that, the Prime Minister under Tony Blair commissioned an equalities review and issued a call for evidence. And CASTWatch UK was able to play a key role in that. And over the next few years, since 2003 and through to 2004, 2007, 2008, and 2009, CASTWatch UK itself as an organization was involved with a number of different strands when the legislation itself was being drafted and framed. So during the passage of the Single Equality Bill, Parliament eventually acknowledged that caste was an aspect of race. Okay, and so Single Equality Bill via Section 9(5) gave power to the Minister of what we call in Britain Minister of Crown, because the government operates under Her Majesty's government. So the ministers are Crown ministers. Okay. So gave power to the Minister of Crown to include caste as an aspect of race to prohibit caste-based discrimination. The Single Equality Bill became the Equality Act 2010, as I said earlier, and received royal assent on 8th of April, year 2010. Okay. The Equality Act 2010, okay, provided for the minister to effect legislation, basically making caste-based discrimination unlawful. Okay. The government itself was mandated to conduct some research into the extent of caste discrimination and mandated an independent organization called National Institute of Economic and Social Research to undertake an independent research on caste and caste-based discrimination. Okay. Now, Caste UK provided input into the conference, into the research. The National Institute for Economic and Social Research published a report called Caste Discrimination and Harassment in Great Britain, and the report itself was compiled by two academics, namely Hilary Metcalf and Heather Rolfe. And the report itself was published on 16th of December 2010 and recommended that caste-based discrimination should be made unlawful. Okay. Now, since 2010, there was an election in Britain, which, as you know, resulted in a change of government in May 2010. Since the publication of the report, the present coalition government basically stalled and did not activate the provisions of the Equality Act, Section 9(5). Okay. Now, I'm sorry I've gone over a brief history. I think it was important for you to know how this whole issue got started and how it evolved. The issue was basically resurrected by the present Parliament when another bill at the beginning of 2013 called the Enterprise and Regulatory Reform Bill came up for discussion. Okay, and in March 2013, during the second sitting of the report stage of the Enterprise and Regulatory Reform Bill, Lord Harris, who is a minister of Christianity, moved an amendment to the Single Equality Act 2010, basically in effect to add caste as an additional characteristic to make caste what we call in legal jargon protected characteristic in law, thereby automatically providing a trigger to make caste discrimination unlawful, which would effectively would have meant that no further intervention was required from the Minister of Crown, but making caste as a protected characteristic would allow caste to be automatically protected. Now, there was a lot of debate and discussion, but to cut a long story short, the proposal that was made by Lord Harris was ultimately rejected. Okay, and there was a compromise between the House of Lords and the House of Commons, and that compromise basically was reached between the two houses, wherein it was stated that that the Minister of Crown was basically compelled to act to implement the law. Initially, the Minister of the Crown, there was no compulsion based on the minister, but this recent move via the ERR basically compelled the minister to actually act on what the Parliament had mandated. Okay, so currently now there is a provision where government is now compelled to act and make the caste discrimination unlawful in the UK. Okay. Now that all was achieved last year during 2013, and so that was a historic event for caste campaigners and caste affected communities, where they can see that a light at the end of the tunnel, that yes, that forthwith they will not be having to face caste-based discrimination. But if they are faced with caste-based discrimination, then there will be a recourse in law, and there will be a protection in law. Okay? Now, let me now get on to in terms of where are we now. Okay, since that legislation was enacted here in 2013, the government has expressed the need for one extended consultation period, and the government has also said that legislation will not be implemented for at least 2 years, which will basically take the whole thing into the year 2015. And in May 2015, there will be a general election, and so we don't know which government is going to be elected after May 2015, and whether that particular government is going to be keen to implement the legislation. Okay. Now, I just want to convey to you that as a build-up to the legislative framework and the campaigning that took place, why is there a delay, okay, in the implementation? And I want to tell you that there has been a rise of a powerful Hindu lobby in the UK under the umbrella of what we call the Alliance of Hindu Organizations. And that Alliance of Hindu Organizations has actively opposed any move by the government to implement this legislation. I would add that prior to 2013, there was no such alliance. The alliance has come into being once it was known that the government might very well enact this legislation. Okay, I will tell you that the Alliance of Hindu Organizations, okay, is formed of a number of organizations, right? And I'm not going to hesitate, and I will name those organizations because these organizations are publicly known now. Okay, this is who is the Alliance of Hindu Organizations. Okay, now there is an organization called the Hindu Forum of Britain, okay, which includes another organization called the International Krishna Consciousness, okay. There is an organization called the Hindu Council UK. Okay. There is an organization called National Council of Hindu Temples UK. There is also an organization called the Swami Narayan Sanstha in the UK. And also there is an organization called the National Hindu Students Forum. There is also the City Hindus Network and also the Vishwa Hindu Kendra. Okay. So basically, the Alliance of Hindu Organizations consists of the organizations I've just mentioned, and these organizations are actively opposing the campaign to implement the legislation. Right? The Hindus claim that they represent all the Hindus in the UK. Okay, and there are, I will tell you that according to 2011, there's over 800,000 registered Hindus according to 2011 census. Okay? And so what this Alliance of Hindu Organizations is claiming that they represent all of these Hindus numbering over 800,000, which we think is small because they can't possibly be representing all the Hindus, because the Hindus come in all different shapes and sizes. Okay. All right. So just moving us slightly forward here, the motive of the obviously the alliance is very clear. The alliance simply stated is opposed to equality. The alliance wrongly fear that if caste law is enacted in the UK, that it will spell a death knell to the Hindu religion, all right? Which is, I think, is not correct, because there is no reason why the whole Hindu religion should be undermined, because we are only addressing caste-based discrimination, not the entirety of the Hindu faith. Anyway, now during recent debates, I will tell you, in the House of Lords in 2013, when the ERR bill was being debated, there is a Lord Bhikkhu Parikh, okay, who stated that the caste system is an integral part of the religion of the Hindus. Therefore, he stated that the legislation cannot be enacted. So the Alliance of Hindu Organizations have put intense pressure on the government to delay the implementation for at least 2 years until the next general election. The present government is taking note of the Alliance of Hindu Organizations campaign and have written back to the Alliance of Hindu Organizations suggesting that indeed the government is not keen or will not rush into implementing the legislation. So hence we have that delay. And the Alliance of Hindu Organizations obviously represents a very powerful political lobby in this country. And as you know, politician is only interested in the votes that they get. So they see the Alliance of Hindu Organizations as a powerful lobby, and they think there is going to be some votes in it. So therefore, they're not going to rush into implementing that legislation. Okay. Now, what steps have CASWA UK taken? Let me just quickly go over that. On the 18th of October 2013, CASWA UK organized a mass demonstration in the city of London. Okay. Thousands of people across Britain participated in that demonstration. A memorandum and a petition of over 20,000 signatories was presented to the British Prime Minister, Mr. David Cameron, calling upon his government to implement the legislation. Okay. The government, what is the government doing? Well, the government has mandated an organization called the Equality and Human Rights Commission in the UK, firstly to define caste. Basically, what the government is saying, it doesn't understand what caste is. So there is a requirement in law for a legal definition according to the government. But we argue that no definition is required, no caste definition is required, and there is precedence to that. For instance, if you look at race, there is no clear legal definition of what is race or what constitutes race. Okay, so we argue that caste definition. But having said that, government has mandated the Equality and Human Rights Commission to establish the definition of caste, and so the commission has mandated some academics and legal professionals to consult stakeholders to form a view about what a caste definition is, and to that end there was an independent another independent stakeholders under the leadership of Dr. Meena Tanda, a leading academic at the University of Wolverhampton, who has held a workshop way back in November 2013, and to which all of the stakeholder holders related to this campaign were invited to participate in a one-day workshop, and where the alliance or representatives of the Alliance of Hindu Organizations and other religious groups and anti-lobbyists and pro-lobbyists were invited to this one-day workshop to hear their views, and a lot of academics and legal minds were also invited to hear their views in an effort to formulate a definition of caste. Now, UK will be the first country in the world to come up with a definition of caste. Okay, even you will be aware, even in India, there is no definition of caste in law. Okay, although the caste discrimination is prohibited, but there is no legal definition. And so, if it ever moves forward in terms of having a definition, caste definition, then UK will be the first country. Perhaps it may benefit the world actually if a caste definition, legal caste definition, does get established in the UK. So there are two steps here. One is to get the caste legal definition, and then the second stage is for the government to implement the legislation. And as I stated earlier, the legislation itself, government has said, will not be implemented before 2015, after the election in May of 2015. Okay, I think I've used up my 20 minutes or so, and I hope it wasn't, you were able to sort of follow through some of the developments and arguments and difficulties that our campaign is facing, and what steps we are undertaking to make sure that legislation is implemented. And if you prefer, I can open myself to any question and answers. Okay. If you want to ask me any questions, feel free to do so, and I'll try and answer any questions that do get raised. As I said, do visit our website, and you've got my email. If you've got any questions or anything that you want to drop me on an email, then please do so. Okay, and I'll try and respond to your emails. I may not respond immediately because I am also a very, very busy person, but I will try my best to respond, give any replies that I need to. Okay, so I'll just now go on mute and let anyone.
Okay, thank you, Sapmanji. Thanks for giving a good overview of the Caste Watch and Brief history and where you guys are kind of like what you have achieved so far. So that's a good start, and I think folks can either type or speak if they have any questions. I'm going to unmute the lines if anyone wants to speak out. If it's too noisy, then I will just kind of like mute. Okay, I'm muting everyone since there is a lot of background disturbance. Anyway, if there are any questions, please type it in the chat window or please speak up.
Okay, this is Vijay from Kentucky, and Sapal Momanji. I have one question. How many Dalits are there in registered Dalits? Like you mentioned, around 800,000 Hindus are registered there. They have several organizations. But how about like how many organizations and how many people are registered there? Or I mean, like you just figure out. I think you are muted probably.
Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, please go ahead.
So that's a good question. How many? You see, let me put it this way. yeah, it's a good question. How many Dalits are there? So roughly there are over 200,000 roughly. Okay, there are no figures available. Okay, because there's nobody gone around to count how many Dalits there are. You know, Dalits in the sense, you know, what we call the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes is usually the Indian kind of designation. So nobody has done any established the numbers, but we estimate there are over 200,000. Okay, but it doesn't just end there. You know, the whole community that is settled here. Like, you know, I've quoted a figure of 800,000 of Hindus. So even when it comes to caste discrimination, I would claim that everybody is affected because it seems to be an integral part of the Hindus, and these are caste affected communities. So I'd claim actually, or if I bring the Sikhs into it as well, which is also another affected religion. So my own figures would argue that the figures are above 1 million. Okay, but to answer your question directly, in terms of Dalits, I would say over 200,000.
Okay, thank you, Satpalji. And how about organizations? How many organizations are known organizations, Dalit organizations there?
Okay, well, when we look at the demonstration that was held last year in October 2013, okay, there were over 70 organizations came together across from across Britain, okay, and so, but you know, there are individual organizations and there are umbrella organizations. So just to give you a figure, you know, we are saying that okay, about 70 organizations established across the country came together to support the demonstration.
So we have around 70 organizations, and Hindu people, they have around maybe 10, right?
No. These are umbrella. Some of them are umbrella organizations. But if you look at the number of like organizations and temples, okay, there will be a lot more than that number. But I can only tell you that and the 70 organizations that came to support the demonstration are mostly belonging to this what you call the Dalit category. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Or did you have something more deeper? Do you want to probe a little bit more deeper in terms of establishing how many actual organizations there are? Is that what you were trying to establish?
No. Thank you. Thank you.
Right,
just
right. Okay, Vijay. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. All right. Good. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other question, guys?
It is great achievement, you know, all over world. I think UK came up first, so it's awesome. We heartily appreciate. Thank you.
Okay, Vijay. Thank you. Okay. Sandeep.
Yes.
You know, if there are no questions, you know, so I'll leave my email address with you guys, and if there's anything people want to raise, in summary, I would say that you know, I grew up in the UK, and I am a staunch follower of Dr. Ambedkar. Okay, I'm also a Buddhist by faith, and in my introduction and what you read out, I am also the secretary of the Ambedkar International Mission in London, and we have a Buddhist temple in London, and we have resident monks there, and so we practice meditation and Buddhist teaching. Okay, so that is kind of something that I think you ought to know as well. All right.
Thanks, Satpalji. Like, thanks for coming over, and thanks for your time. We really appreciate you came over and give us an overview. We look forward to hear more from you in coming future, and feel free to join our session whenever it's convenient for you. But Thanks again for coming over. If you can type your email ID, then folks can reach you now, or they can reach you later, like whenever they if they.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just type that in here.
Thanks.
All right, there you go. All right. Okay. Well, thank you very much for your patience, and thank you for listening in. And you know, if you know, hopefully we'll have another interaction. You know, and if you need me to interact with you on any specific subject, just drop me a line, and then I'll be able to better concentrate on anything that you want to talk about. Shrikant Borkar, who I've known for a number of years, he sort of contacted me, and I asked him, what is it that you want me to speak about? And he said, oh, just can you just briefly outline you know, the activities of Catholic UK and things like that. So I hope I have met his expectation, although he's not dialed in. So and I hope you know, you were able to benefit from what I've said, and gave you a brief overview of the activities that have been going on in the UK. And so I will sign off now, and thank you very much for your patience. For listening to me. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks again.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay, guys. If anyone has anything else to add, or any updates, if anyone else wants to share. Mahesh, do you want to give an overview about the event which is going to happen, about the youth youth group which is going to meet in Nagpur on 19th? Mahesh?
Yes, but if you can give me 2 minutes, it will be.
Sure, Mahesh. Take your time. But we don't have much today. But Mahesh, whatever you want to share, please share up. And if anyone else has anything else to add, please do so. Else we can wind up our session early today.
Sandeep.
Yes. Yes, Vik.
Sandeep, yeah, I wanted to ask that the annual gathering that we have every year,
Okay.
and somehow we were not able to book that cabin due to the like limitations from the cabin guys. You know that there was like limitation on the water usage. Okay. So we have to locate some other cabin which would accommodate more people, where it's like a little warmer and convenient for people to commute to that location as well. So if anybody knows any cabin come across, you know, this side, you know, so please do let us know as well.
Sure. Thanks, Mahesh. And if you want to kind of highlight some specific states or a region where we should be, I think that would be helpful. Vivek.
Say it again. I'm sorry.
Do you want to highlight specific region, like should it be near Ohio, Virginia?
Well, we are looking like a commutable distance. You know, it all matters. You know how. You know, some is going to sacrifice the distance wise, you know, maybe you know, at least like 8-9 hours commutable distance, you know, I guess, where we can like in a centrally located where most people may have that much distance on this. You know, some may have to travel a little bit longer. You know, depends on where, but you know, again, this kind of.
One thought from my side, in Indianapolis, probably Anna did not have any function, and Harish is coming there probably in March, and families from Punjab there, I got to know. So maybe we can it's just a thought. Like
Yeah, we have to also like concentrate on the people from the east side, like New York, New Jersey, or Washington.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we have to locate somewhere in the middle where it would become like as farther west we go, then more commuting time would be required.
That is also
That's
there.
that is also there. So we have to locate somewhere centrally at least.
Yeah.
And because our population is mostly concentrated on the east, north, little bit, and little south, where central locations usually is ideal.
Oh, that is good. Actually.
It's a good idea, like where in India again, we can always explore the options, where at least, it should accommodate at least 50 people, close to that, without any limitations. The current place we had looked at in West Virginia, like Ponderes or something like that, they had like only 3 tanks of water usage, and only could accommodate 32 people. That's it. If we have more people, then we stuck. So that's what we had to cancel that reservation there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so please do let us know, let anyone or drop an email with the link if something come across, so at least we can finalize, sooner the better, because usually we do have this like on the Memorial Weekend, which is like a 3-night stay, 2 days event, so usually sooner we book it is good for us.
Okay, Mahesh is going to share.
Sure.
Again, guys, thank you very much for joining today. There is in Dr. Ambedkar National Student Federation is organizing the youth festival. I believe they organize every year, and this year the main speaker is Devani Kobragade and Dhananjay Banjari and the comrade there. Basically, this is the kind of a career guidance to all the youth, and the organizations are basically all the youth associations from Nagpur, Akola, in that area. So this is a very good event. All our youth should attend and take the advantage of this session. ANA and AIM is also sponsoring this event on the small scale, and we are also planning to do advertisement of our activity, our career guidance center in Nagpur, and also the women empowerment self-defense program activities. So we are preparing the flyers right now and trying to distribute over there. So if you can circulate this message among your friends and families, and if they can attend this event, it will be great. Again, this is on the 19th of February at 11 a.m. And it is at Bird in Nagpur. So it's, I think indoor looks like this one, indoor event. So I think I don't know what is the capacity there, but if maximum student can attend this event, it will be great. That's pretty much Sandeep from my side, and I believe we already circulated this flyer to all the groups that we know, so people can go there and attend this event.
Thank you, Mahesh. And just like it was just an update for members who are on the call, so that if you have any families, friends in and around, then they should definitely go and participate. It's a big gathering. More than 1,000 students come around, and the focus is to make students aware to grow professionally, and specifically this year the focus is more on competitive exams like USC, sorry, like is it called UPSC and MPSC? So that's what the focus is, and I think folks should join. Maybe like in coming years, we can make it more collaborative, and maybe if people can, if kids can join from other parts as well, I think that will be great.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think we had a good session today. Yes, Mahesh.
Question. I would like to take opportunity to introduce the new people also. There are few new people join on this call. I just want to know their opinion if they can share. If you can unmute the Nilesh Vasnik, he also joined the call right
Sure.
now. If you can. Nilesh, are you there?
Nilesh, you are unmuted. Yeah.
Can you go ahead and introduce yourself quickly? Nilesh, are you there? It's like maybe. Okay, anyway. There is one more Ray what? I don't know who is this, but.
I think the speaker is not on. I'm not sure.
Okay, that's fine. He's not on the call then. But we like to take, there is a new people join on the call.
Okay.
Thank you.
Definitely, Mahesh. That's a good idea. I think I should make a note of that. Any other points anyone want to highlight? Anyone has to say something?
I think Revat's mic is on. May I know who is REWAT, please? Hello?
Mr. Revat, if that's your name, can you please introduce yourself? Hello? Hello?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, guys. Then anything else, Mahesh, Vivek, or anyone else? Okay, then, guys. Thank you for joining, and have a good week ahead. We look forward to see you next Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello?